The Adventures of Benny and Buttercup, Season 2, Episode 1, RKO, Outer Nowhere. In the red corner, we have Benny the Devil. In the blue corner, we have Buttercup the Unicorn. Han Solo is commentating. They begin to have a conversation.
"Oh, I can hear you,"
Betty said. "Let's get ready to rumble," Han Solo said.
"Will you take after?"
He asked. "Don't get cocky," Han Solo said. "No," Buttercup replied.
The end. Fin.
Some shampoo. And now the fact of the day. Eating fish makes you fat. The Adventures of Benny and Buttercup, Season 2, Episode 2. Row, row, row your boat. Benny and Buttercup are rowing their boats on a river. Han Solo is fishing. They begin to have a conversation.
"The trough on land, so you have to drink on the river,"
Betty said. "Let's go fishing," Han Solo said.
"Will you drink with me?"
He asked. "Don't get cocky," Han Solo said. "No," Buttercup replied.
The end. Fin.
A book. Tintin, Volume 3. And the shout-out of the day is Nat Gunning. And now the fact of the day. Watching TV gives you square eyes. The Adventures of Benny and Buttercup, Episode 3, Jurassic Unicorn. Benny and Buttercup are in Jurassic Park. Han Solo is hunting dinosaurs. A T-Rex is behind them. They begin to have a conversation.
"Is that the T-Rex?"
Benny said. "Must go faster," Han Solo said.
"Will you drink with it?"
He asked. "Don't get cocky," Han Solo said. "No," Buttercup replied.
The end. Fin.
An Xbox game, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. And the shout-out of the day is Sam Webb. And now the fact of the day. People are robots. The Adventures of Benny and Buttercup, Season 2, Episode 4, BHG, The Big Hairy Giant. Benny and Buttercup are in the land of the giants. Han Solo is using a telescope to look at one. They begin to have a conversation.
"That is one hairy giant,"
Benny said. "How's the weather up there?" Han Solo said.
"Will you drink with him?"
He asked. "Don't get cocky," Han Solo said. "No," Buttercup replied.
The end. Fin.
A remote control. And the shout-out of the day is Cam Harding. And the fact of the day is Square tires are better than round tires. The Adventures of Benny and Buttercup, Season 2, Episode 5, The Cheeky Leprechaun. It is a nice and sunny day. Benny, Buttercup, and Hen Solo are enjoying the sun. There is a leprechaun as well. They begin to have a conversation.
Is someone peeing on my leg and saying it's raining?
Betty said. It's raining, the leprechaun said. You don't have legs, Han Solo said.
Will you drink after?
He asked. Don't get cocky, Han Solo said. No, Buttercup replied.
The end. Finn.
A tie. And the shout out of the day is J. Breen. And the fact of the day is batteries and pasta is a good combination. The Adventures of Benny and Buttercup, Season 2, Episode 6, The Bloodsucker. Benny and Buttercup are in Transylvania. Count Dracula is there. Han Solo is using a cross to defend himself. They begin to have a conversation.
Is that Count Dracula?
Betty said. I want to drink your blood, Count Dracula said. I don't have blood, Han Solo said.
Will you drink with him?
He asked. Don't get cocky, Han Solo said. No, Buttercup replied.
The end. Finn.
A cat. And the shout out of the day is Archie Merrifield. And the fact of the day is spray soap in your eyes to clean them. The Adventures of Benny and Buttercup, Season 2, Episode 7, The Killer Croc. Benny and Buttercup are at the beach. Han Solo is sunbathing. Suddenly, a killer croc appears. They start to have a conversation.
Look at that killer croc,
Betty said. Get that thing away from me, Han Solo said.
Will you drink with it?
He asked. Don't get cocky, Han Solo said. No, Buttercup replied.
The end. Finn.
A pair of odd socks. And the shout out of the day is Jake Simmons. And the fact of the day is the bigger your eyes, the bigger your fingernails. The Adventures of Benny and Buttercup, Season 2, Episode 8, On Your Head. Benny, Buttercup, and Han Solo are in a playground. Buttercup and Han Solo are playing one bounce. They begin to have a conversation.
Can I play one bounce with you?
Benny said. On your head, man, Han Solo said.
Will you drink after?
He asked. Don't get cocky, Han Solo said. No, Buttercup replied.
The end. Finn.
a memory stick or USB. And the shout out of the day is Father. And the fact of the day is hats make you blind. The Adventures of Betty and Buttercup, Season 2, Episode 9, The Invasion. Benny and Buttercup are in a thunderstorm. Han Solo is there as well. Suddenly, a UFO appears. They begin to have a conversation.
Is that a UFO?
Betty said. Help, it's gonna get me, Han Solo said.
Will you drink with it?
He asked. Don't get cocky, Han Solo said. No, Buttercup replied.
The end. Finn.
A shoe. And the shout out of the day is Shoji Leach. And the fact of the day is clean your house with a toothbrush. The Adventures of Benny and Buttercup, Season 2, Episode 10, A Bowling Disaster. Benny and Buttercup are at a bowling alley. Han Solo just bowled a strike. It is Benny's turn to bowl. Benny accidentally bowled a Pokeball down the alley. I wonder what will happen next. Charmander popped out and began to burn the bowling alley. They begin to have a conversation.
The alley will burn down,
Benny said. We can use your water, Han Solo said.
Will you drink after?
He asked. Don't get cocky, Han Solo said. No, Buttercup replied. Han Solo proceeded to pour the water on the fire. Charmander escaped. Now, Benny has to go and find him.
The end. Finn.
A bowl of paprika chicken. And the shout out of the day is Kieran Murphy. And the fact of the day is always cheat in exams.